through.
A mystery from World War II melts out of a remote glacier. Peter Stekel first thought he was seeing a small tree. Instead, the Seattle author found the body of a lost airman whose plane crashed in 1942. KOMO 4's Eric Schudiske shows us how the author's making sure the airman's sacrifice isn't forgotten again.
I was Johnny on the spot to get a magazine assignment.
Seattle freelance writer Peter Stekel investigates a forgotten footnote from World War II. A military plane crashed on this California glacier. A lifetime after the crash, just 2 years ago, hikers found the body of one of the 4 crew. Stekel hiked to the site 3 weeks ago. He first discovered an engine. Then a tree stump rising out of rock and ice caught his attention.
And then I realized after just a second or so that, well, there aren't even any grasses or sedges up here. How could there be a tree? And that's when I realized that it had to be a person.
A nameless airman, the second of 4 now discovered from the flight. He wore this clue to his identity, a gold ring. It all took a lifetime to discover.
Yeah, he's been up there 65 years. 3 times as long as he was alive.
They're all young lives Stekel hopes to chronicle, like no other story he's written.
Being a writer and being a journalist, part of what you do is you try to remain detached from the story. I have become part of the story, and I've become emotionally involved.
He's involved now in unlocking a mystery that began as soon as the flight's wheels left the ground.
These 4 guys take off in the morning, and then they vanish.
The flight took the men south, back to Sacramento, then north. The wreckage surfaced years later, more than 100 miles southeast of Sacramento in Kings Canyon National Park.
Granted, they could have been lost, but they would, on a navigation training mission, which is what this was, you'd figure they would know the difference between north and south.
Or know the fatal consequences of taking an underpowered trainer into high-altitude mountains.
No one knows if those other 2 airmen will ever be found, if they'll eventually be buried in a military cemetery, or if their memorial will be like this one here in Seattle, dedicated to the veteran dead whose final resting places shall forever remain known but to their God.
We don't know whether the glacier will ever give up their bodies or whether there's anything left to find.
And while the voices of World War II veterans go silent, Stekel wants these airmen's voices heard for the first time. Eric Schudiske, KOMO 4 News.
The airman Stekel discovered should be identified in the next weeks. Stekel hopes to have his book finished next year.
A new tourist attraction known as Shark